All right, guys, share this around. Going live in 2 minutes. Today's topic is the acceleration of prop firms overcoming brokers in the space. What's going to happen to brokers? It's determined. Get your questions ready. Check. All right, guys. You might notice a little bit different background for myself. We are currently, John is actually in the other room here, but he's working on some other stuff. We've got our regular usuals here. We got James, Bruce, and we got Emma. We are currently actually traveling in Portugal. I'm sitting in a hotel room here, but that does not mean the spaces are going to end. Guys, we're talking about the rise of prop firms this month. So that means we need to figure out what happens to the brokerage space. And I'll just start it off with kind of get some things in your mind here. The traditional way that trading started out was it was institutions trading. And, you needed large amounts of capital in order to trade. And then it was full lots, full contracts, standard lots, standard contracts, right? And then we came around and we seen the minis come out, right? And those were 1/10 of the size. You required 1/10 of the margin. And then we came out and we see the micros coming out, and that's in the future space, of course, right? Now, it keeps getting progressively smaller and smaller. And what does that do? Is it allows more participants to enter into the market. And this is the next iteration of entering more participants into the market. Now, the traditional sort of sense 5 years ago was you'd sign up for a brokerage, whether 8Cap, Oanda, Blueberry, whatever it is, right? Get approved. Then you go to your bank and you say, hey, here's my bank card. I've got some money on there. I'm going to wire that to Oanda or whatever, right? And then you wait. And you got to wait 3 days. And then, the other fact is you have to have maybe a few $1,000s before you can even start trading. A lot of them have minimum deposits, $500, something like that, minimum deposit, right? And $500 is not going to get you very far. So the minimum deposit is not very recommended. Now, guys, some geniuses came up with a couple ideas. One of those geniuses was Maven. Exactly, yeah. Ideas to make this a little bit more accessible. What if you only have $19? That was the big thing that made Maven. Maybe I'm going to move my arms here so I'm not blocking the whole stream with my bicep. The whole Maven training. The whole concept that made Maven huge was the $19 5K, and that really allowed a lot of new people enter the market. Right, $19 is unheard of to be able to trade. You can't even take a singular trade on a brokerage account. So the new age of trading is what now? Prop firms. Okay, so I'm going to leave you guys with that. There's some more information that we can start off with. James, what do you think? What do you think? Just right off
Yeah.
the top of the dome, right? Prop firms, how are they taking over the industry?
Yeah, so I will start with this because I think it's an interesting topic. So I started trading in 2018, and you're going to be going to the prop firm, the brokerage hub of the world, that is Cyprus, in the next few days or weeks. But basically, I trade with two big brokers out of Cyprus. One, and I think these are probably the biggest at least in the top 5 in the world. One being, I'm sure you've heard of them, XNES.
Yeah.
And the second one being XM Markets. I use both of them, and I've got good relationships with both of the guys over there. They, to be quite frank, they're not really worried about prop firms right now, as of yet, in my meetings that I've had with them. But I started trading in 2018, and obviously started with traditional brokerage accounts, putting in $500, blowing it, learning my lesson, doing it again the next week. I think prop firms are great. I actually, as I said, I had my first breakout year in 2020 trading with traditional brokerage firms. I was able to get some investor capital that was able to back me. So similar to like a prop firm in instance, but with traditional brokerage firm. And then basically, obviously, I heard about, FTMO, and I was like, okay, what's this? Like, okay, this is like, because they're like the pioneers of the CFD prop firm, if you want to call it that. And basically, I was like, okay, this is interesting. Well, the worst I do is a scam, and I bought a 100K account. I was like, I think it was like $500. Worst I do is I lose $500. Hey, I've lost $500.
You've already done that, man. Countless times.
The normal brokerage firm. Let me just try it. And obviously, it took me about 3 times. I passed the third time, and they paid me out. I think my first payout with them was about like $4,000. So obviously, I was like, geez, okay, I put in 500, I got 4,000. I think I took a couple more payouts before getting that account blown. But as you've seen recently, prop firms are becoming more and more popular, like Maven, and it obviously offers traders. I mean, very few people are going to have, especially I'm in South Africa. For those in the chat that don't know, I'm in South Africa, if you don't hear the accent, but very few people have $5,000 to just put in a brokerage firm. Especially in a third world country, that is a lot of money, bro. So, to start off with $19 and be able to trade with a $5,000 account, I think prop firms are great. In my opinion, if you aren't trading with a prop firm in 2025, you are falling behind. So that's my thoughts.
Yeah. There's a lot to talk about in this world of what prop firms actually have to offer. But first, markets are going nuts. All right.
Everyone is also enjoying the fact that we're all coordinated in black today.
All black.
Completely unintentional.
Nice. Yeah. Are you guys also not wearing shoes?
I'm wearing slippers.
Shoes. I got slippers, and we're all matching. I got slippers on right now. Okay. And anyways, enough about our feet. Guys, month ended. What do you think, James? I know my opinion already right off the bat. And the NASDAQ is telling me there's a level right here.
Yep.
How's your EMA strategy working? Were you still in a bear
so
market?
actually, well, let me bring up my screen. I actually made money buying the NASDAQ today, and that was obviously pretty nice. Let me get this up. And I did tweet about this. I need to get a Maven account set up and starting trading this week as well. So we're gonna get that too. But let's go like that. I understand. Okay, then we're gonna share my screen.
Yeah, the past couple days have been a little bit wild. You can see crash on the open into a rally. Yesterday, they tried to save that monthly, but it's a little bit difficult. They didn't get quite high enough, but you can see they really just shot it up in the last couple hours of the day. We're going to put your chart on screen right here, and then you can show your trade setup.
Yeah, so basically the trade that I did take was basically off the weekly view app. This is this weekly view app, which was obviously we only on Tuesday. So start of view app yesterday. We literally pinned it right to the T. This is the NASDAQ chart. And I like that, the clearance of the daily view app. I took my long with the stop at the low. That was my trade. And as I said, I made some money across my accounts, which was quite nice. And we're going to add a Maven account there too in the near future. So
good. Yeah, we'll get you a Maven account. We'll see how high you can run that up.
Yeah. or how fast I can blow it.
Yes, of course. Yeah. So VWAP is such an underrated trading asset that, if I had to go into the indicators realm, I'd probably use VWAP. It is a moving average, which is so simple. And I like the simplicity of it, but
Yep.
it is weighted based off of volume, right? Volume weighted moving average, right? So it's a little bit better than just a regular moving average because you have more emphasis on bigger
Right.
volume moves,
Yes.
right? Now, guys, if we're jumping back to my screen here, it's a little bit difficult here for the markets because we just had a really terrible weekly close. We just had a really terrible monthly close, and that was a 10% drop. There's the potential that these markets continue dropping back down to. I'm going to show you a level here. This might be a little bit tricky to see. Is the 17K level on the Nasdaq? That is a year. That's the start of the year. So that's kind of the next area down, in my opinion, if we do continue down. And I don't know that there's much support left here because all of these wicks have already kind of tested these levels. So this is kind of the area again. We're looking at this next zone here as a potential, right? Or kind of fill these gaps here where they've not really tested before, right at that 17K level. The yearly open was here, right? So it does look like potentially over the next couple months we might come back down for a little bit. Hopefully markets do well for majority of people.
Well, are you talking about the yearly open as in last year's yearly open? Because I think we're down this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, totally. Yes, last year's yearly open.
Yeah.
This year we've gone straight down essentially since the Trump inauguration. All the tariff talk has really been making people concerned, making gold actually do super well, and that's been going straight up since the start of the year. As you can see, again, Trump inauguration, gold's gone straight up, and the Nasdaq and the ES have gone straight down, just because those are basically inversely correlated. Now, Bitcoin, an interesting topic, has been moving correlation to both the Nasdaq and gold. It seems to be like a kind of flip-flopping which one it wants to decide, because people are investing in Bitcoin because it is completely depegged to all government, and it's kind of a good long-term safe haven. People are starting to realize, but it is also a technology. So it's similarly pegged to the Nasdaq and similarly pegged to gold, which are, funny enough, they're two completely counter assets, right? So you're seeing kind of range right now, and again, Bitcoin's kind of in this larger time frame range that we need to determine. Okay, are we going to regain the zone, or are we going to come back down here? And that's going to be the question: is as we're coming back up, can they close strongly, kind of above these levels, and that might start the next uptrend up. Is you're going to really want to be watching this previous week's open. See if we can gain that previous week's open, and that's going to be that break of structure that a lot of people are looking for in order to gain new highs. Now, guys, Emma is in the bottom right corner. She said nothing so patiently. Questions go directly to her. Type it in the YouTube chat. She's reading YouTube chat there. We're live on Kick as well, and we're live on X. Best question gets a 50K Maven challenge, and if you don't get the Maven challenge giveaway, you can get yourself one on the page, starting as low as, is it $15? I think $15 is the lowest. Now, guys, there is as well instant funding now on Maven. If you guys are interested in, it's a remarkable pricing. There is no pricing in the industry that is even, when we were discussing instant pricing, we're like, these are all the prices of what people normally do, right? And we were said to ourselves, should we just slightly be cheaper? No. Maven Wait, we're going to put the lowest possible pricing and make it super accessible, because that's what a prop firm is designed for, is accessibility to newer traders, okay? So being what I just said, let's discuss a little bit here. And Emma, butt in at any time you see a good question, okay? The accessibility of prop firms, what does that mean? My first take here that might spark some conversation is, my opinion on a prop firm is you should use it as an educational platform, right? And I might have said this before on stream, that we should be budgeting a certain amount of money to put into prop firms each month. So you know how, James, you were saying you keep putting in $500 into the brokerage, blowing it,
Correct.
$500 into brokerage, and maybe every paycheck you might get $500 or whatever extra, and you throw into the brokerage. Now, what's better to do is maybe diversify that into a couple different prop firm challenges. Buy a couple of prop firm challenges and then trade them and practice them, because you can practice with that larger capital. From there, you might get a couple payouts every once in a while instead of just blowing the account every once in a while on the brokerage. See, the issue is the brokerage is a forever stream, right? Does this make sense? It's a forever system. The system never ends, right? So there's no end to your trading career, right?
Yeah.
It's just a forever growth pattern. And eventually you might just lose all that money, right? In the newer stages when you're learning. So with the prop firm, you can start, go to the payout or fail. You either go to the payout or fail. And that's the system. It's cut and dry. You enter and then you exit later, right? And that really makes it easier for newer traders to determine, hey, am I making money? Because you can determine, hey, I've now made this profit. I'm going to put it away for a safer time rather than keep reallocating it to the brokerage account and then eventually blowing it, eventually blowing it, eventually blowing it, and always starting at zero. The better way to go about it, take all those withdrawals, put it into an investment, and then when you're ready, now you've got 100 grand to trade with, right? Rather than, keep restarting. It's a lot easier to do it this way. James, what's your take on that? If you had to start again, would you do something similar? Would you go down the brokerage path?
As I said, I think if for newer traders these days, I always say, personally, I trade both. I trade prop firms and I trade with a brokerage account and my normal regulated brokerage account. First of all, I will say, I need to mention this, that if you are going to trade with a broker, you need to make sure at least it is a regulated broker. Don't go trade with some scammy, no regulated, no licensed broker. That's just silly. You're asking to get shafted. That's the first thing if you are going to do that way. But I trade with both. But as I said, I think if as a new retail trader, I think it's such a prop firms are so accessible for so much cheaper, and the upside is so much better than. Let's be honest. You're not going to take your $500 and turn it into 10 grand. You're just not. I promise you right now, the chance of you doing that is less than 5%. Okay. Yeah. Whereas if you take, let's just say you got $500 and you're like, okay, well, I'm going to buy 250K accounts, whatever it is, 250K accounts, $500, give or take, call it that. I'm going to give myself 2 chances to get funded. If you get a 50K account, you could still make 5 grand from that, 100%. You could fail one and pass the second one. You could make 5 grand. You make 10% on that, you're going to make 5 grand or 80% of the profits. So I think that all new traders should be trading prop firms. And then again, make money from prop firms and then fund a personal brokerage account. Maybe treat it like a long-term account where you put money into it every single month from your prop firm payouts. That's my advice.
Yeah.
Perfect. You just answered the question on the screen. Love that, James.
Easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question there. So you said something actually interesting, and it sparked an idea in my head that I was actually discussing on my Kick stream this morning while we were trading. I was chatting with the audience, and we were looking at some of these YouTube videos that say, account flipping, right? And it's like some of them were like $10 to $1,000, right? And we did the math. We did the actual math. We sat down and we said, let's pull up the calculator. And let's say you have to flip that. You have to take a 1-hour trade, right? And let's say you have a 60-70% win rate, which is incredibly good on 1-hour trades, right?
Of course.
And the probability of flipping that $10 into 20, into 40, into 80, into 160, into 320, right? All the way to 1,000, right? You have to do it so many times, right? So we said, what's the probability of a 60% chance each time to flip it before going bust, right? Because you're betting it all in one go, right?
All on
and
nothing.
You said 5%, and it's actually quite funny is because we determined for something like $10 to $1,000, it varied based on which account flip we were watching on YouTube there, but it was about 3%.
Yeah.
There's about a 3% chance that you could do it with an edge. Okay, so assuming you are a profitable trader, you can do that about 3% of the time, right? And how many days is that going to take you? It's going to probably take you about a month, right? So the amount of months that it would actually take you would be about 2 or 3 years to be able to do that, to be able to flip $10 to $1,000. Now, the probability of a prop firm, very different, right? You have about, if you have a 60% edge, in a prop firm, well, you're probably going to pass about two out of three challenges, maybe 1 out of 3 challenges if you're unlucky.
I'll tell you my sorry to button, Hunter.
Yeah,
I'll tell you my statistic. I pass it depends obviously on the timings, and how markets are, it changes. But between 45 and 50% is my pass rate for a prop firm challenge. And Asha, all my wins, all my losses, I don't pass. I mean, in February, I failed a bunch of challenges. I had just become a dad, so I think the guys in the chat, the traders in the chat that see these guys winning all the time online, it's all a facade. They don't show the accounts that they lose. It's the same as the account flippers. They don't show the accounts that they blow before they turn that $20 into 500. So as I just said, my win rate for passing prop firm challenges is between 45 and 50%. But then once I get funded, I'm making enough to cover my expenses that I paid for the previous ones that I failed, and obviously some to make the return on my investment. So don't believe everything you see online, because most of the time, no one's passing 100% of a challenge. I can show you that.
Yeah. I think you got it dead on. I think I'm right about 50% as well of them pass. A lot of them fail, right? And I'm an exceptionally good trader, right? So maybe about 30% of them you'll pass, even if you're profitable. Emma, you've got a question here.
Yeah, someone was wondering with the rise of prop firms if you think that the retail trading space is becoming more accessible or more restrictive.
Yeah, totally, way more accessible. The fact that one, you can use less money, right? The fact that it's actually a little bit easier to start. I remember when I started with a brokerage and I had to get on MetaTrader and I had to download it, and I had to transfer the funds, and I don't really understand how to sign into the account. It was a little bit more confusing than, hey, I can push a button, and then boom, they send me the email, the login. I get everything immediately right there, copy and paste it over to the browser, and I'm good to go. It's a lot simpler. I can set it up. It might take me like 20 minutes to understand, where the broker space took me about maybe I couldn't even figure out how to take trades sometimes, right?
Yeah.
And so it's more accessible in that way, the cheaper price, and it's also the speed of transfer, because you can use credit card or crypto or any of others payment methods, and then get the account instantly funded, basically. Whereas bank wires were the traditional sense for the broker world.
Yep. And yeah, that is a lot of the time also brokers don't really have the frequently asked questions that you see on prop firms. The prop firms frequently asked questions are very well done. I mean, you guys' website is very neat, and it's easy to actually see the frequently asked questions. Brokers, sometimes you have to actually physically call the broker. Hey, what's up, guys? How do you do this? If you are a new trader,
Yeah. So
actually, regarding that, do you feel that traditional brokers are failing to keep up with the needs of modern traders?
It's an interesting disconnect, because I believe the broker space is now starting to cover a different niche of trader. The broker space used to be all-encompassing for retail traders, right? Where you put the money and you trade on that. Now I think there's a divide where brokers are going to be set up for more profitable traders and that have been in the game for a long time. I think it's much smarter for a newer trader who's learning and maybe unprofitable to go on the prop firm space, because you're not risking any large amount of money each time. You can always reset and reboot, right? It's very easy to get your mind mentally adapt with that. And as you develop your skills over time, you switch over to the broker space. Before, brokers were really an A book, B book sort of thing, where they were a lot of the brokers were not mirroring your trades. This is just a common fact. And that's kind of how prop firms are running too, is a lot of prop firms don't really mirror trades, right? It's very common practice. And the broker space, I'm sensing it's going to be a better group of traders actually being on brokers as a percentage base. The brokers might have to shift a little bit to be more advantageous for them and more safe to be trading with actually profitable traders, and then trading alongside with them and A-booking them.
I do have to, sorry, the thing that the chat that came up, or the comment that came up on the chat there, I do have to disagree with that.
What was the comment?
The comment was about payouts on prop firms versus payouts for brokers. So
yeah, I
James
do have to disagree. I do have to disagree with that. My personal brokerage payouts, literally, I hit withdraw, and within, not even lying, 45 seconds, it hits my bank account.
Wow,
it's pretty quick.
That must be a South African speed thing.
Yeah, it must be. No, it is. It is exceptionally quick.
I think it heavily
it
depends
used
on
to
the
be.
broker.
I mean, when I first started with a brokerage firm 8 years ago, it used to be about one business day to clear into my bank account. But the payment processes have just become so efficient, just like the prop firms have. But personal brokerage account, within a minute, it's in my bank account. It's pretty quick.
Now my experience is when I'm trading on CFD brokers, I'm depositing crypto now, and it usually takes 1 day to clear, right?
Sure.
So they have to accept it basically. Now, if I'm using future brokers, those are super heavily regulated around here, and it's taking me, it's 2 or 3 days to transfer into the account, and then they have a buffer period of 7 days that you can't actually touch it for 7 days, right? So my personal one that I'm using is Interactive Brokers for because I want to trade on TradingView with some of my accounts, right? And that one takes a very long time for Canadians, right? And where if I didn't want to trade futures, it's a really good option for me to go for one of those future models because then I can trade with larger capital. I don't have to have as much margin. Like the example I have to give you is the NASDAQ requires 25 grand in the account to trade one contract.
Yeah,
25 grand, right? So if I wanted to trade multiple contracts, it's going to be more advantageous to use the prop firm side, right? So as you can see, it's really everything we're kind of gearing towards is, if you have a large amount of money, it might be more advantageous to go with the broker side. And if you have, kind of learning or on the scaling sort of side, the prop firm is definitely the way to go.
I would still say, Hunter, like I still think that traders should trade with both as a retail trader, because let's just say you had a losing trade in the morning on your personal brokerage account. Well, now you got a funded account with Maven. You can trade in the afternoon and have a winning trade there. So you can split up the risk, kind of treat it as two entities. Okay, I'm going to trade my personal account and I'm going to trade my prop firm accounts. I think, like if you aren't trading with prop firms in 2025, I think that you're just missing out. It's just the truth. Yeah,
I'd have to agree with you there. I've got my personal futures. My own funds there. I've got a Maven account, which I'm just sitting with a large amount of capital there, Maven capital, and then I like to dabble with other prop firms, right?
Sure.
So whatever payouts I get from those other prop firms, I throw them into my futures broker, right? And then I trade from there and I scale that up slowly. But the prop firm challenges I really like to have fun with. They're really fun on stream because you can full margin and have a lot of fun with it. And while not really caring because it's only $100 sort of thing, right?
Yeah. So it's not to be completely biased towards prop firms here. What's one thing that traditional brokers do better than anyone else right now? Yeah. Well,
the most obvious one, of course, is there's no rules. Who gives a shit? Do what you want. Blow your money for all I care, sort of thing. Like that broker side is, hey, you just deposit $1,000. Go ahead and blow it. I don't care.
No drawdown rules. Yep.
No. The funny thing is actually, generally when you deposit into a broker, they're going to assume that you're going to blow it, right? So they're not even going to A-book you. So you're going to deposit that money in. They just made $1,000. Go ahead and blow it. We don't want you to actually make money. Generally, that's how the broker space sort of thinks, right? And it's similar to a prop firm space as well. Is a large amount of times it is kind of when you get a payout, it does come out of the pockets of the prop firm. That's correct. Same sort of thing with the broker space, right? The difference is a little bit. Hey, the prop firm space is trying to train you in order to become a profitable trader. The broker, I've collected my money already from you, right? And now I'm just going to wait for you to blow all your money, right? And it's a little bit different attitude, but it's a similar sort of thing, and I think that's how you should be using the industry, right? Is deposit into a broker only when you know you're not going to blow your account, right?
I will throw another one in here to play devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Traditional brokers are regulated by the FCA licensing things, whereas most prop firms are not regulated. So that's another one to play devil's advocate. Let's
talk slightly about that then. We can't talk too much on regulation, but if a prop firm, so there's no prop firms that are regulated. It's a unregulated market. The thing though is it is so quick that a prop firm will go under.
Yeah.
If they start doing any funny business. The second, we've seen this countless times last year, right? The second something went wrong, boom, they went under, right? And you know, I think I heard a stat somewhere, might have been from Prop Firm Match or something, that 60% of prop firm traders have traded on a firm that's gone under, and that's really painful, right?
Yep, I have.
And the glory of that is, hey, I've spent $100 on a challenge, right? It's gone under. I've only lost that $100. Where is if you get into a broker space, I've just deposited $100,000, right? And then they're not regulated. Oh wow, that's a lot of money. That's really going to hurt. But $100, who cares, right? Yeah. You know, that's my budget monthly, right? $100,000. That's my life savings. So it has to be regulated. Where it's not too much of a concern so much in the prop firm space. The worst case is, you know,
that's a fair point.
You got rugged, right? And you know, when you stick with the top 10 firms, you're not gonna have a problem.
Yeah.
You know, I think Maven's ranked number 5 or something like that right now in the world, right? Pretty dang good. Anyone in the top 10, I'm gonna advocate for everyone in the top 10. Maven's the best one, of course.
No, I think that's a fair point, bro. Because as you said, like if you've got even 10 grand in a brokerage firm, that's gonna hurt if you get. If I mean, you're going to be protected, but if you got, you know, you're not really having 10. The one time it did hurt for me when my Forex funds, you know, the whole spiel of that thing went down. I had a nice payout to like 8 grand. And then I also had obviously a few accounts that were in phase 2. So that was a bit of a bleak one. But as you know, you just, what you do, you took the chance, you move on. I made my money from previous payouts, you move on, right? So
here's the thing though, is everyone says, they took 8 grand of my money. No, it's not your money until you get paid, right?
Yeah,
exactly. And that's
if you deposited it, yes.
If you deposited it, then they would have stolen it from you, right?
Yes,
and that would have been a huge issue. But you know, it's the idea that, you know, they say this in the crypto world, right? Not your keys, not your money, right? Yeah. And if you're keeping your money on an exchange, you don't own it legally, right? And that's kind of the issue of the broker world too. And that's why they have to be regulated, is Correct. Because there has to be some sort of ruling behind it. And the crypto is a little, you know, maybe we won't talk about crypto world because that's a little bit of the Wild West, right? There's a lot of
Cowboys, bro. That's the Cowboys.
That's like, you can pretty much do anything there, right? So Maven's number 1. Hey, let's get some questions from the audience. Emma, what's going on? You got mute.
Muted, Emma. Emma, you muted.
That would be a problem, wouldn't it? Sorry, guys. I was typing furiously away, and no one wants to hear my click clacking in the background.
Yeah.
So
you got nails?
Pardon?
Do you have nails on?
They're my nails. They're natural. I just painted them. So
you have nails. That's silly question.
I have nails, yes. I haven't put fake ones on actually since I was in London. I don't usually do that because it ruins my nail beds. So.
Emma is a real person, guys. Yeah, she's
Emma is a real person with real nails. Yeah. So a lot of people have kind of been asking specifically about Maven and how we differentiate in terms of trader retention and long-term success. So maybe we can answer that while I look for some more questions.
Trader retention. Yeah, it's an interesting, you know, here's another, I know a difference between prop firms and brokers is, you know what, prop firms are not as concerned with the trader retention, right? With a broker, they get you signed on. There's a deposit bonus, right? A lot of times they have a deposit bonus to get you in there, right? And then they know that once you're in the door, you're stuck with them, right? I've got a broker. I'm not going to mention the name. I've got a broker that I was using in the CFD world, right? That I deposited, I set it all up. There's no if I ever go back to the CFD world, there's no chance, and I've gone back and forth, right? There's no chance I'm setting up with anyone else. They've got me for life, basically, right? Because I got a good sign-on deal or whatever. My commissions are low. And now I know for sure that that's my broker. In the prop firm world, go ahead, jump around, compare between different firms, and you're going to really see the benefits of each individual firm. You're going to see the payout speed from Maven, and then that's what's going to keep you with Maven, right? You're going to see the low price that Maven offers, right? That's what's going to keep you with Maven. You're going to go elsewhere and you're going to say, hey, maybe my experience was not as good. And that's what keeps the market competitive, right? With the broker space, they can actually offer you something worse, but just get you in the door and you're never going to leave, right?
You're right. Yeah, I mean, I've been trading with 2 brokers my entire trading time. I haven't, like, that's it.
Now, there's I was kind of thinking about this the other day. I kind of feel like the prop firm world is a little bit like super competitive between firms, kind of how like a gas station is part like on 2 different sides of the street. One is like $9.90 and the other one is $9.89 or something, right? And you go to the one across the street because it's like 1 cent cheaper or something, right? I was kind of thinking like they have to be the same, otherwise everyone's going to go to the one that's like, if you all you have to do is do a U-turn, they have to be pretty much the same. And that's what's great about the prop firm world is, you're getting reliability and competition, and competitivity.
But Hunter, I would also argue that, I mean, as a prop firm user myself, I would say that if I trade with a prop firm and I get paid, they got fast I think the 2 things that I look for: fast customer support, and with obviously a clear user interface with the frequently asked questions answered very clearly, and fast payouts. If those things are covered with a prop firm, I'm probably also going to trade with you as long as you guys are in business.
Yeah. And the great thing is, hey, trade with Maven, trade with FTMO, trade with Fivers. I don't care. There's a few different ones, right? And you could trade with all of them, right? That's the reality. Is you don't need to be 100% loyal to one.
Yeah.
Say you like the CEO of a different firm as well. And you're like, I'm going to support both, right? And you're going to be able to play with both and have a slight difference in each one. Maybe you choose Maven for your swing trade accounts, because there's no swap or something, and then you choose a different firm that you might want to scalp on that's more scalp
friendly.
What's the word here? Yeah,
friendly. Yeah,
better for scalping. Yeah, so
yeah, scalping friendly, whatever you want to call it.
Friendly, yeah. Scalp friendly, right? Maven is very swing trade friendly, right? Nice. And other firms are definitely going to be more scalp friendly, so you could use for 2 different strategies if you wanted, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
You don't. I want you guys on Maven, but you don't need to be super loyal. You can bounce around, have fun, and compare from there, right? You're going to be able to understand the perks that each firm has.
That was Hunter's motto when he was a gym bro and he used to go to the gym with all the girls. You don't have to be super loyal. Just bounce.
You don't have to be super loyal. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, you only have to be loyal when you're at home. All right.
Speaking of loyalty and trust, do you think that the trust factor in prop firms is higher than brokers, or is it just a phase? I find this interesting because I'm online and on social all the time. I don't think brokers have the same social presence as prop firms, which is maybe why people feel a little more connected to prop firms, especially us. We're online all the time.
Yeah, there's a weird thing actually. That's a really interesting note, and I want to get your opinion deeper on that, Emma. Is why are prop firms like so friendly? You know what I mean? Brokers are like, here's the rules. You're going to join us anyways. You know what I mean? And why are prop firms so engaged in the community? Like, why are we on this space right now? You know what I mean? I've never seen a brokerage do this.
Well, I mean, it's a very different space for one. And I think a lot of prop firms kind of just sprung from the ashes of social media. A lot of people who started prop firms were very active on social before. Now, I came in later, so I'm a little bit of a different story. But people kind of expect to maintain that connection with the person who started the firm, and kind of makes sense, right? They gave you their loyalty because they knew you and they saw that you were online and you were engaging with them and your audience. Yeah. And so they kind of expect that continuation. Well, brokers are a bit of a different story and they're less focused on like niche community engagement.
Yeah. Let me throw something in your ballpark there. The new wave of businesses starting up is really influencer based. Like
Yes.
A lot of these big new businesses, the thing that comes to mind is Prime and Mr. Beast's chocolate bars there.
Yeah.
Is these businesses absolutely blew up because they were represented by somebody that people already trusted. Now, that's not really, that's different from how things used to function. When brokers were big, what you do is you start a business and the business's brand grows forward. Think Walmart or Amazon, like somebody, nobody knows the CEO of Walmart, but you trust Walmart, right? And the thing is, a lot of people know my face, right? And they trust me over the actual brand. And that's how the things are kind of shifting now, is you develop the brand based off of a personality. Do you think it's something to do with that?
Yes.
I mean, I think it kind of depends on a lot of things, right? Like the influencers that you mentioned specifically, they were quite big at the time when they launched their products, and they 100% had a whole business team behind them. So yes, they were operating off of the influencer initially, but there's tons of people who buy stuff like Prime, and they have no idea there's actually influencers behind that at this point.
Well,
so the brand eventually does detach.
Yeah, it does detach after a while, but this is how you start up now, is what I'm thinking. Like,
no, but the big thing why everyone trusts Maven in the last month is because I've been on the podcast. That's
why, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have James, and that solves
we got a family man now.
Yeah.
we got a family man, right?
No, I think that's a fair comment about like when you go with a prop firm, you're going with a personal brand.
Yeah.
Like, okay, guys, like Hunter and what he stands for, you're about with Maven.
Yeah.
Whereas I think brokers, they're not really, to be honest, I agree with you. Brokers are more, in my experience, because I have lunches and that with my broker at least once a month.
Once every quarter. With your broker.
I do, yes. I go and check them at least once a month. And they more on foot, like man on ground, rather than a social media kind of online presence. That's what I would say. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to Cyprus, the land of the brokers. So guys, we are actually doing I'm gonna just pop in here and say this. We are doing a Euro tour right now. We're in Portugal and we're in Spain, and we're going to Cyprus as well. I'm with John currently, and we're doing tons of giveaways. You guys, you can check out giveaways in the Discord. You can check out giveaways on the Kick stream, and you can follow our Twitters. I'm doing a giveaways every couple days. That if you guys turn on the bell notifications and you answer it the quickest as possible, answer the question as fast as possible, first person is going to get the giveaway. Let's jump back to it. Emma, what's the next question? Let's get a good question here. We got a few minutes left.
Yeah. Someone was asking about the psychology of a brokerage versus a prop firm, and if that negatively impacts either or.
Yeah. As a trader or? Yeah,
as a trader. The psychological difference.
I don't know about you, James, man, but I trade so much better on, I like to get a top step account once a month sort of thing, right? And I like to kind of YOLO it on stream. I trade so much better on that top step account than I do on my brokerage account. And I don't know if it's because I can see, like, I'm attached to the money. It's like, okay, made a few hundred, made a few thousand or whatever, right? Losing a few hundred, losing a few thousand. And like, I was like, wow, that's a big deal, right? And then if I'm trading on the prop firm account, it's like, I don't care because it's not my money. I'm only playing the odds in the prop firm challenge. It's just an odds game. I'm playing as if I'm playing like a system. You know what I mean? There's there's no emotion behind it.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. I split my accounts up. Like, I'm trading my personal account, like, kind of almost all the time. Sometimes I'll turn it off if I'm like up for the day quite nicely. But on my trade copy, I'm always trading my personal account in the back end. And then I've got my prop firms that I'll split up. But sometimes I might just say, hey, a minute, let me actually attack on this prop firm, because I know that, like, I do agree with you. Like, the worst thing that you can do on a prop firm is that, like, this is why I think sometimes I do trade better on them, because, like, hey, I've paid the money for the account. The worst I can do is lose the money that I've paid for the account. Whereas a personal brokerage firm, I mean, if you lose like 10% of your money in the day, you've lost 10% of real money compared to like, okay, you put the money in for the prop firm challenge, you've already paid for it. If I lose it, well, I've already kind of lost the money because I paid for it already. Whereas, like, I think the personal accounts hurt a lot better, but I think it takes time. It definitely is a different game. I risk a lot less on my personal brokerage account because I'm trading with my own money in it. So I won't be risking sometimes 2% on it. I might risk like 0.5% because that's what I'm protecting it. I'm playing rather like, let me not go in a 10%, 15% drawdown in the space of a week, kind kind of thing.
Totally. So I'm just wondering, how can we simulate the same emotional, psychological attachment that we have to prop firms that we do to the brokerage account? And I'm just wondering, the first thing that pops in my mind is, hey, I budget a certain amount to buy into prop firm challenges each month. Maybe that's what I do for the brokerage as well. It might be able to simulate that. So every paycheck, maybe I put in an extra $500 every paycheck, right? Whatever the number is for you, right? And then that way I can say, as long as I don't lose more than that $500, I'll allow myself to lose that 500. And if I end the month with only losing 400, then I'm still good. You know what I mean? Then my brokerage account's still growing, right? Whereas with the prop firm, you can kind of do that and say, hey, I budget $500 a month. I buy 3 challenges, right? If I blow them all, that's the worst case scenario, is I don't buy more than those. What's your thought on that, James? How can we create a system that feels the same?
I think that is a great system. I personally do that. Like I'll say, for example, like, okay, this month I'm buying $500 worth of challenges. I'll split them up. I think, again, I spoke about this recently, I think on last week's stream or whatever it was. But basically, if you want to get funded with, let's just say $100,000, instead of buying one big 100K account, buy 4 25K accounts, or buy 2 50K accounts, because you're giving yourself 2 times to actually get funded instead of 1 time, and then you blow it and then you got to wait for next month. So yeah, I think that's a good plan. That's what I do personally as well.
Totally right. And then you can split it up so it's a bi-weekly thing instead of a monthly thing. Waiting a month for a new challenge, that sucks. Do one every other week or something like that.
Yeah.
Emma, let's finish off with a couple more questions. We got maximum of 5-10 minutes left.
Okay, well, first off, apparently chat wants a match between you two.
A match. I seen that pop up, James.
What's a match?
Like a trading competition.
Oh, trading. Oh, we can do that.
Someone suggested a boxing match, but I think trading is
we could. James, you should come up and visit Cyprus in a few weeks.
He does have a new baby.
Yeah, he's
we
also
can make
got a wife,
plan.
right?
We can make a plan.
You've also got a wife. She can take care of it for a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Babe, I'm going on vacation. I need to go beat Hunter up.
Oh no.
That would actually be quite fun. Is if we could organize a New York Open. Do you trade New York Open? Yeah.
Yeah, New York Open. Yes, sir.
That would be pretty fun. Is if we could set up. I'll get you on my kick stream, and we'll do a live trading competition and see who can. Maybe we'll buy. We'll get a Maven challenge, a 10K Maven challenge each, and then see who can run it up, or we'll get an instant funding or something.
We'll do it.
Yeah.
We'll do it.
Other people want a live golf match, apparently. So
okay.
Did you see my golf from this weekend, Hunter? Did you see my golf? There's my trophy.
I watched a little bit of your vlog, yeah.
So to say, there might be an unfair advantage here.
you had quite the hat, didn't you?
Yeah.
That's a beautiful golf hat, man. A big sombrero hat.
Yeah,
right?
you got to protect. I got to protect this. I got to protect the head, Hunter. Otherwise, I'm gonna. No brain cells left to trade the New York Open with you.
Totally. Okay. Yeah. That's why I started wearing the hats too. Starting to thin out a little bit.
Oh, you have lots of hair, don't you?
But it's I'm self-conscious, I used to be luscious.
Well,
now it's all falling down into my beard.
That just naturally happens when men get older. Most men lose a good portion of their hair by the time they're 30. So
that sucks. That's the worst.
Luckily, I still have lots of hair on my head. So.
When you get 30, it's all going to fall to your beard too, Emma.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. So someone was asking before, do you have any sort of different trading strategies? Someone else is asking about different risk management for brokers versus prop firms.
Yeah, totally. So my personal method, and people hate this when I say it, is prop firms. I do not use a stop loss ever. I either blow the account with every single trade, or I hit the take profit level. Okay. Now some prop firms, Maven partially being one, depending on how you approach it, right? They don't want you to take the full 100% all in one go sort of bet, right? Yeah. You have to kind of take 2 trades sort of thing, right? A lot of prop firms are like that. So read the rules of the prop firm. What I would advise is take 50% on one day, 50% on another day, and then you're probably going to be safe depending on the prop firm. Okay. So I go full margin, no stop loss. Okay. On a decent setup, and I give myself enough room that I can go into drawdown. I don't just randomly bet. Okay. I give myself enough room that I say, hey, this is where I'd probably put the stop loss around. And I allow myself to bet that much. So that one trade idea is either going to blow the account or it's going to hit me to the maximum for that day, which is I shoot for 50% of the take profit. So if I'm shooting for 8% total, I go 4. So your first day, you have a very high win rate chance of hitting it, right? Because if I have a 70% win rate and I only need to get 4% before I lose 8%, I'm probably about a 90% chance that trade plays out. Okay. Second day, I do the same thing. Now for the challenge phase, that's what I do. And then once I'm funded, I trade normally. Right.
Yeah.
And that gets it done quick and I can just get it over with.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to be sitting on the challenge for 2 months, bro. It's a waste of time.
I've done it and it sucks.
Oh shit, bro. Yeah, I agree. It sucks.
It's like what it's like, why are you wasting your time?
Bro, you might as well just go put that money that you work in deposit into a broker and blow it in one day. Like
that's what I'm saying, right? So I
agree, bro. So you attack the challenge phase, you basically send it on the challenge phase, and then you trade normally on and maybe more conservatively on the funded.
Yeah. Once you're unfunded, you want to make sure you're locking in those payouts because it's essentially the same as having a real live account, right? For you, that's for all your intensive purposes. It's the same as having a live account. Okay? Yeah. You want to lock in those payouts as quick as possible, and then put them in your personal account where there's less restrictions, right? The less restrictions, probably better for you, generally.
Yeah.
Common red flags, Emma?
Yeah, common red flags of a shady broker or prop firm. Because before James was talking about making sure you trade with a good broker, and so people are wondering if there's any common red flags.
I've got really good ones for brokers. Massive deposit bonuses. Okay, a lot of brokers give you crazy deposit bonus, 300%. Things like this, and there's something weird going on because they're trying to get you to deposit that money. So now it's in there, right? They might have crazy high commissions. Something like this.
High leverage could even be one. Like if they,
and that you just blow your account instantly. You also want to look at the reviews for both prop firm and brokers because some brokers they might just have really long withdrawal times, right?
Can I show a quick thing for this because this is I think everyone should know this. For brokers, if you can just put my screen on because I think everyone should know this. So if you type into the internet WikiFX, okay, and this is for every trader here that's listening, okay, it's called WikiFX. You can come here and please, if you are South African watching this, there's a few scammers in South Africa because that's what they are. If you promote an unregulated broker that can just walk away with your money, they're promoting a scam brokerage firm. If you do this, look, this is the firm that I've traded with, and if I put in XM markets, right, you're going to see it comes up as regulated. If you come up with, if you search any other thing, like maybe if someone's promoting this start trade or great, this is no regulation, but you can come here. XM market will come and show it's regulated. Another one that I trade with is XNES, right? Over here, you're going to come here and you're going to see it's got regulation, right? So if you come here and a thing says that it's got no regulation, you should be concerned, right? That you can see official. They should go use this as a brokerage firm. There you go. This is the one that I trade with, XM and XNES. They have regulations in multiple jurisdictions, as you can see, multiple jurisdictions. So that's a simple way that you can actually come and see if your broker that someone's punting is regulated or not. That's an easy fix.
That's a really good point. Is that for prop firms too?
No, prop firms obviously will not have this. Prop firms personally pay. Okay, let's do this. A prop firm
match is the
correct. That's what I would say. Yep. Yeah. Come here to
pull it up there.
Prop firm match. Let's try and find it.
Prop firm match. We're gonna see. Where does Maven rank?
Let's see. Prop firm.
And now, while he pulls that up, guys. Now the red flags for the prop firm industry is, one, again, reviews. There's no regulation in the prop firm world, so you can't check that, but you can check the reviews on Trustpilot. And you can check the reviews.
There you go, Maven, number 5. There you go.
And as I said, you're probably pretty good with any of the top 10. Okay. And that's why I'm being completely as much non-biased as I can, right? One of those top 10, you're probably pretty safe, right? And with prop firms, one big red flag that I like to point out is the higher the sales are, the bigger the sales, the more often the sales. What that screams to me is, hey, our cash flow is not enough right now in order to pay our old payouts. So we need to run sales to increase the cash flow, right? And you kind of get caught in a snowball sort of thing, right? And that's a huge red flag, because let's say something goes wrong in the industry, and there's no reserves in place for the prop firm. The prop firm needs to be able to pay out all the traders that have pending withdrawals. The other one then is, of course, how long is the speed of withdrawals? If it takes more than a day, that's a huge red flag, because that's saying, hey, again, we don't have the cash flow, so we can't pay you out instantly. We don't have the reserves available. So again, if you talk about Maven, we run 0 sales, right? Because we don't need to, right? We have the cash flow all the time. It's much more stable that way. And we're running with instant payouts. You get a payout within 50 minutes, right? Almost as fast as what James was saying, you know what I mean? With his broker, as it seems like it's just automated with your broker. Seb actually has to go in and Seb goes in every 15 minutes and all day long sends out all his payouts every 15 minutes. He has his laptop with him no matter where he goes.
Yeah, especially for me.
Yeah. Hey, guys, that's the stream. Thanks for watching. Let me close.
Yeah.
Emma is going to pick a winner giveaway right now. But if you do not win, once again, MavenTrading.com, you can go there and you can find special deals on that Prop Firm Match website as well. If you want a favorite Maven, go on there, favorite Maven, and then you can get a discount code on Prop Firm Match as well.
They're going to rather use mine. They told me they're using mine.
or you can use JB, or you can use Hunter. I don't think Emma has one, but
no, I don't have my own. I do the other marketing, so
yeah.
So this week's winner is pulled from X, so it's think_tricks. I will be tagging you in a post, and the post will be reposted on Maven for everyone who wants to see who the winner is this week.
Guys, thanks for watching. We'll be back next week. I think same environment. We're going to be traveling again. Follow us on Twitter so you can keep in touch with everything.
Maybe we will have that meet up in Cyprus. We'll have to see how it goes.
Guys, we're going to have to get a vote. James go to Cyprus, or do I go to South Africa?
Yeah, that could be an option too.
Okay, guys. See you next week. Ciao.